One man, three countries, one playbook. In America, prosecutors are digging into how hundreds of millions of dollars moved through shell companies. In Britain, the Home Office has now opened its own inquiry. And in India, investigators have already filed a charge sheet. The common thread? A Shanghai based tycoon named Neville Roy Singham and a sprawling network of NGOs, media portals, and activist groups that critics say are functioning as tools of Chinese influence. It's being called the Singham Network. So, what exactly is the Singham Network? Has China found a way to wage political warfare without ever needing an army? And where does India enter the story? The latest is a report in the Telegraph. British investigators are now looking into whether China helped fund pro Palestine marches across the UK. At the center of this is Code Pink, a far left feminist protest group. Code Pink has organized demonstrations in Whitehall, urged activists to protest outside Royal Air Force bases, and released statements accusing British leaders of being, in their words, bought by Zionism. Now, according to the Telegraph, a British company linked to Code Pink received close to £250,000 between 2020 and 2021, and a further £70,000 in 2024 from firms that were connected to Singham Network. The UK's Home Office confirmed it, in its own words, looking into the issue raised as part of its remit to counter foreign interference in Britain. So, who is Neville Roy Singham? He's an American millionaire, a tech entrepreneur who built his fortune through software consultancy called ThoughtWorks. Born in the US in 1954 to Sri Lankan political scientist, Singham grew up steeped in Marxist ideology. As a teenager, he joined a Mao-influenced workers' movement in Detroit. Decades later, he became one of the most prolific funders of progressive activist causes across the world. A major New York Times investigation in 2023 traced hundreds of millions of dollars through non-profits linked to Singham. It reported that beneficiaries included organizations in America, in India, in Brazil, and South Africa that mixed left-wing political advocacy with narratives broadly aligned with Beijing. Now, Singham denied working on instructions from the Chinese government or the CCP, but the investigation found something very complicated. According to the Telegraph's investigation, Singham now shares an office in Shanghai with a Chinese state-linked company, one whose stated mission is to showcase what it calls, quote-unquote, the miracles that China has created on the world stage. The Telegraph's reporting names more than 30 organizations linked to Singham, spanning the US, Europe, Asia, and Latin America. Funding is alleged to move through foundations with very loose disclosure rules, reaching activist groups on the ground. Now, one of the most prominent among them, Code Pink, is founded by Singham's wife, Jodie Evans. Code Pink has organized protests outside Britain's Ministry of Defence, demonstrated at a Royal Air Force base in Cyprus, and pushed campaigns opposing NATO. A US House committee has directly accused Singham of, in its words, fueling CCP propaganda by funding groups that blend progressive causes with Chinese Communist Party talking points. What worries Washington is that China's influence strategy does not always arrive with a made by the CCP stamp. The more sophisticated model is indirect. Fund sympathetic voices, build relationships, amplify narrative, let ostensibly independent organizations deliver the message. Now, China itself has described international messaging as part of a wider contest over global narratives. The question American investigators are asking is this: has Singham's network become part of that very same CCP ecosystem? Now for the India connection. Back in 2022, Delhi Police's special cell filed a charge sheet against the news portal NewsClick and its founder Prabir Purkayastha under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. The allegation was that NewsClick received close to 38 crore rupees in foreign funding between 2018 and 2021, and it was traced back to entities linked to Singham. Investigators say that this funding was used to push pro-China, anti-India narratives at sensitive moments, especially during the Galwan clash in 2020, during the farmers' protest, and of course around Kashmir. Emails exchanged between Purkayastha and Singham reportedly included a Chinese map showing Arunachal Pradesh as part of China. Now, Purkayastha and NewsClick have denied all these charges, insisting that the funding was legitimate investment and their journalism is independent. In June, the Delhi High Court quashed the ED FIR against NewsClick over money laundering. Here's what makes this network effective. It does not need to invent unrest from scratch. It finds movements and grievances that already exist, gives them money and infrastructure. As the Telegraph notes, this gives Beijing what analysts call plausible deniability. China does not need to run to social media accounts or write articles about itself. It just needs to fund the ecosystem that does the work. Investigators are very careful here to draw a line. Dissent itself is not illegal, but when foreign money selectively amplifies dissent that also happens to serve another country's interests, that crosses into something far more serious. Now, what's unfolding now is not conventional espionage. There's no spy handing over documents in a parking lot. This is influence bought at scale through foundations, protest groups, and media outlets, dressed up as grassroots activism. So 3 democracies, India, UK, US, 3 separate investigations, 1 recurring name, Neville Roy Singham, where the courts in Washington, London, and Delhi can prove coordinated Chinese state funding remains to be seen, but the pattern being described, which is money flowing quietly into causes that just happen to align with Beijing's interest, is now too consistent across too many countries for governments to simply look away. Hi, you're watching Times Access. This is Aditi Prasad. Click on the bell icon below to like and subscribe to this channel so that you never miss a Times Access update.
Nuclear weapon.
The old rules are breaking. Alliances are shifting.
Apologize again to the victims of the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein.
Wars are redrawing maps. Oil routes can shake economies overnight. One election in America can impact markets in Mumbai.
No tax on tips.
One move by China can alter the balance in Asia. One conflict in West Asia can hit every Indian household. This is no longer a distant story. This is our story. Your story. Because for the first time in decades, India is not watching from the sidelines. India is rising. India is negotiating. India is balancing rivals. India is building military strength. India is shaping trade routes. India is becoming central to the new global order. And yet, most global news is still told through someone else's lens. Washington's lens, Beijing's lens, London's lens. But where is India's lens? Where is the platform that explains the world from our perspective? Welcome to India's Axis, a new destination for geopolitics, strategy, and power seen through India's eyes, from Neighborhood Watch to the biggest global stories that matter to you. Why tensions in the Taiwan Strait matter to India, how one move by China can affect India's security, what turmoil in Pakistan means for regional stability, how Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and Bhutan shape India's neighborhood, why oil choke points can hit your wallet, how wars abroad can reshape India's security. This is not noise. This is not shouting. This is not recycled headlines. This is sharp, intelligent storytelling, daily explainers, war room analysis, strategic conversations, because news is everywhere, but perspective is rare, and in the age of confusion, clarity is power. Axis is for the audience that wants more than headlines. The axis of global power is shifting. India is at the center of that shift. It's time the world was explained accordingly, to understand the world through India's strategic lens. Subscribe now.